Okay, we got 2 minutes more. Let's sing a song of the garden. The Lord into his garden comes, the spices yield a rich perfume. The lilies grow and thrive, the lilies grow and thrive. Refreshing showers of grace divine from the Father flows to every vine, and makes us people one, and makes us people one. Come, brethren, you that love the Lord, and taste the sweetness of his words. In Father's ways go on, in Father's ways go on. Our troubles and our trials here will only make us richer there. When we arrive at home, when we arrive at home. It's already 5 a.m. Let's all rise. Let's begin our Hoon Dok Hae by offering one standing bow to our beloved true parents of heaven and earth. 하나님 과 천부모님의 성길 옆에 준배 바로 our most beloved heavenly parents, our Lord Listening and Reveling. We pray that today, Thursday, September the 4th, 2014, we pray that from here, the Washington Family Church, to all over the world, we pray that true parents' name will be known from here, and we pray that we will never stop until all peoples of the world will know about true parents. We pray that the unification seal will be back in this church, high above steeplechase, so that it can beam its light and the seal throughout the world. We pray that the true parents would really feel and also have joy and happiness today as they see their true children, true grandchildren, being victorious in many aspects or facets of life. We pray for their good health, their prosperity, and success in whatever endeavors that they do. We pray as well for the international headquarters in Chongpyeong, Korea, in the Cheongdong Palace. We pray for our elder sister in Sanjanin with her husband in Sukmin, and we pray as well for all the umbrella organizations under the World Mission Headquarters, like the UPF. We pray for the Universal Peace Federation Chairman, the Chang Shik-yang, and all the international vice presidents like Reverend Thomas Wan and their staff, and we pray that they will get all our reports that we send to our national headquarters. We pray as well for all the continental leaders all over the world, in South America, Europe, Africa, and here in North America. We pray for Archbishop Hoon Kim, his family, and we pray as well for all the national presidents of the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, national headquarters with their staff, especially here in America. We pray for Reverend Dr. Michael Malcolm, his wife Fumiko, and their children and the staff there at 4 West 43rd Street in New York. We pray for their witnessing efforts with their interactive service DP Live info, that info, and we pray as well for all their efforts to really remember or send all these addresses and the known contact numbers of members since the 1980s, and we pray for their success, and we pray for all the regions too, all over the world, especially the districts, especially here in District 1. We pray for our leader, Reverend Ernest, and our Ernest Patton and his wife, Keiko Patton, and their family. We pray for their success always, that he can reach his goals always, and we pray as well for all the leaders and pastors and really the ones who are working so hard, the leaders of each center all over the world, especially here in the Mid-Atlantic area. We pray for Reverend James Stewart and his wife, and Keely, and the children and the members at Towson Center in Towson, Maryland. And we pray as well for our members in Norfolk, Virginia, under the pastor there, Reverend Akira Ota, and in Richmond, Virginia. We pray for Father Adrian Bayer and his wife Ayana San. We pray for their success and expansion always. And we pray for the Northern Virginia area in the Belfast. We pray for Winslow June and all co-pastors there. We pray for the congregation that they can report more and more every week and for their success. And we pray for the Maryland area under Reverend Milton Stevens and his wife, and co-pastors like Reverend Jean Booth and Ms. Jones and others. We pray for their successors. They are hitting it always every week. We pray for their continuous protection and their success in gathering up people too, and we pray for the Washington D.C. area. We pray for Archbishop Augustus Stallings, who is the chairman of the American Clergy and Leadership Conference all over America. We pray for his success always, with his wife and 2 children. We pray for the co-chairmen too, that they will achieve all their goals always as they do divine principle seminars on the web and on many of the churches all over America. And here we pray for the Washington Family Church with our pastor, Reverend Xavier Oliver, and his wife, Pulusan and Dora Brianna. We pray for their success always. We pray for unity. We pray also for our council, that it can really bring about unity also with our members. We pray for the blessed children blessed families and the blessing candidates and all those people that were invited here. We pray that we can always bring them here again. And we pray all this in all our names and in my name. As an act of Francis, Catalan, but single time. Arju, Arju, Arju. Good morning. We're back on reading the World Scriptures, number 2, and the teachings of our Father, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. And now we're on page 447, and this is from the topic from Isaac. We have read the introduction and from other sources, from the Bible and the Quran, and now we read about the teachings of our Father, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. Abraham obeyed God's command to sacrifice as a burnt offering his precious son Isaac, who was born to Abraham in his old age. In giving that command, God took a great risk, unprecedented in history. Whether or not Abraham would comply would be the condition that represented heaven and earth. It would decide the fate of events in heaven, events on earth, and millions of lives yet to be born. Although Abraham was ignorant to its great importance, once he received the command, he made a sincere attempt to place his son Isaac on the altar and sacrifice him. Think about the heart of Abraham as he picked up the knife to kill his beloved son. His mind truly transcends reality. In his time, who could have recognized that kind of faith? By meeting God's expectation in that moment of great risk, Abraham's daring act proved that he belonged to heaven and his family belonged to heaven. He demonstrated that he and his family and all their cattle followed God's orders. He established this reality when he made the burnt offering on his only son. Abraham offered Isaac with a prayer in his heart. Although Isaac is my son, he is thine, therefore I shall offer him to thee. The realistic consequences of what he was doing did not matter to him. You should learn the center of faith from the example of these historical forefathers. And this is from a speech in December 2, 1956. After Abraham failed in the symbolic offering, God commanded him to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, as a burnt offering. In this way, God began a new dispensation for the purpose of restoring Abraham's earlier failure through indemnity. Abraham's zeal to do God's will and his resolute actions carried out with absolute faith, obedience, with loyalty lifted him up to the position of already having killed Isaac. Therefore, he completely separated Satan from Isaac. God commanded Abraham not to kill Isaac because Isaac now severed of all ties to Satan and stood on God's side. We must also understand that when God said, "Now I know that you fear God," he revealed both his reproach to Abraham for his earlier failure in the symbolic offering and his joy over the successful offering of Isaac. Because Abraham succeeded in his offering of Isaac, Isaac could carry on the providence of restoration in Abraham's family. And this is from the exposition of the divine principle, Foundation, chapter 3, 1.2.2. It is not clear how old Isaac was when Abraham offered the boy as a sacrifice. He was old enough to carry the wood for the sacrifice. When he saw there was no lamb to be offered, he inquired of his father about it. Isaac was apparently old enough to understand his father's intention. We can infer that he helped his father, even though he knew that his father was preparing to offer him as sacrifice. If Isaac had resisted his father's attempt to sacrifice him, God definitely would not have accepted the offering. In fact, Isaac demonstrated a faith as great as that of Abraham. Together, their faith made the offering successful, and there was no way for Satan to retain his hold on them. In making the offering, Abraham and Isaac went through a process of death and resurrection. As a result, Abraham succeeded in the separation of Satan, who had invaded him because of his mistake in the symbolic offering. Second, by faithfully obeying God's will, Isaac inherited the divine mission. In the exposition of the divine principle, Foundation 3.1.2.3. We should give ourselves as offerings to Thee, Father, yet we are unable to. At the next page, 448. Therefore, even if Thou hast to drive us, even if Thou hast to drag us, please lead us to Thine altar. Abraham brought his innocent son Isaac on the way to Mount Moriah. When Isaac asked his father, "Where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" his father answered that he need not worry about it. Every time I try to fathom Abraham's heart, every time I try to fathom the parent's heart, I feel how sorrowful thine heart must be as thou leadest us. So this is from a poem in September 5, 1971. And now we have a new topic, and we're on page 448, Jacob. Jacob is one of the most victorious figures in the Bible, and one of the most problematical, clever and ambitious. He tricked his brother into selling him his birthright, and deceived his father Isaac into giving him his brother's blessing. Yet, as he went through hardships in Haran and was himself deceived and mistreated by his uncle Laban, we sense a growing maturity that comes to fruition when he is able to win over his hostile brother with gifts and genuine humility. Though all the vicissitudes in his life, we can see his genuine faith in God and his desire to guard and perpetuate the godly tradition of his forefathers Abraham and Isaac. Father Moon has the highest regard for Jacob, whom he regards as the most successful providential figure in the Old Testament. In reconciling with his brother Esau, Jacob is the first person in biblical history to win over his enemy with love and sacrifice. In Father Moon's view of God's providence as the course of restoration to turn right side up all the things turned upside down by the human fall. Jacob restored much by defeating the angel he restored for the first time. Adam's defeat by the angel Lucifer, and by winning over his brother Esau, he restored for the first time the failure of Cain and Abel. Jacob is a role model to Father Moon and to anyone who understands that God entrusts to us a certain portion of responsibility to exert ourselves to overcome adversity and restore the mistakes of the past. Therefore, this appellation, Israel, meaning he who strives with God, is well deserved. And we're now in the first subtopic, number 1, Jacob's rivalry with Esau. Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it is thus, why do I live?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and the two peoples born of you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other. The elder shall serve the younger." When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came forth red, all his body like a hairy mantle. So they called him his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came forth, and his hand had taken hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. And this is from the Bible, Genesis chapter 25, verses 21 to 26. When the boys grew up, Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once, when Jacob was boiling pottage, Esau came in from the field, and he was famished. And Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red pottage, for I am famished." Therefore his name was called Edom. Jacob said, "First, sell me your birthright." Esau said, "I am about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he ate and drank, and rose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. And this is from Genesis chapter 25, verses 27 to 34. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he saw Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am," he said. "Behold, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and prepare for me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that I may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. She prepared savory food, such as his father loved. When she took the best garments of Esau, her oldest son, which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob, her younger son, and the skins of the kids that put upon his hands and upon the smooth part of his neck. She gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. So he went to his father and said, "My father." And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Now sit up and eat my game, that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" He answered, "Because the Lord your God granted me success." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near, that I may feel you, my son, to know whether you are really my son, Esau, or not." So Jacob went near to Isaac, his father, who felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. He said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He answered, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it to me, that I may eat of my son's game and bless you." So he brought it to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near and kiss me, my son." So he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, and said, "See, the smell of my son is this as the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." Now Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are approaching, then I will kill my brother Jacob." But the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, "Behold, your brother Esau comforts himself by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to Laban, my brother in Haran, and stay with him a while until your brother's fury turns away." And this is from Genesis chapter 27, verses 1 to 29 and 41 to 44. Now it's already 5:28. We're now on page 450. We have here the teachings of our father, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. What happened as a result of the fall is that Satan's son, inside bracket Cain, was born as the elder son. Therefore, God had to replace the elder son with the younger one. Otherwise, there would be no way for God's will to be bequeathed to future generations. Hence, God had to set up a dispensation of conflict between brothers, which happened in the lives of Jacob and Esau. And this is from a speech on December 24, 1978. In God's world, it is the elder son, not the younger, who is to receive the blessing and inheritance. Thus, unless Jacob, as the second son, first gains the birthright and takes the position of the elder son, he is not qualified according to the standard of the principle to receive God's blessing. What was Jacob's wisdom? Knowing that his elder brother Esau was hungry, he bought the birthright from him in exchange for some pottage of lentils. By this purchase, he was entitled to receive the inheritance of the elder son from his father, even if his father opposed or he had to deceive him to acquire it. It is inevitable that God set up this situation to restore through indemnity what was lost in the fall. And this is from the speech in May 1, 1984. Jacob thought, if I am several times more persistent with my elder brother, and I am better than my siblings in serving God, my father and my mother, then I can win the position of the elder son. It is logical for Jacob to believe that if he were better than Esau in attending God, his parents, siblings, and kinsfolk, they would want to place him in the position of elder son and support him. Jacob was wise. He envisioned this goal from the beginning and fought with his objective in mind all the way to the end. Esau, on the other hand, was only looking at his immediate situation. And this is from a speech in June 29, 1980. We have only 3 paragraphs to end our Hoon Dok Hae under the teachings of our father. Let's continue reading. Jacob deceived his father by wearing a goat skin to imitate his brother Esau, who was a very hairy man. Jacob approached his father, who was practically blind, and let him touch the hide on his arms to convince him that he was Esau. Then his father blessed Jacob with a blessing intended for his brother. Why did God's dispensation require this? According to the principle of creation, only the eldest son can receive the inheritance. Therefore, in order to receive God's inheritance, Jacob had to take the birthright from his elder brother. However, he could not just take it without a condition. Since Esau had already sold the birthright to Jacob, Jacob was simply taking possession of what was already his. That is why Jacob was not wrong. Rather, Esau was wrong for having sold his birthright. Jacob truly cherished the birthright. He was anxious to inherit it and bring together all the generations of his family. That is why the Bible speaks of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob knew the will of God and God's dispensation, and he wanted to become the heir who could receive the inheritance. What does this mean for us? The fallen world is in the position of the elder son. But through this course, Jacob restored the birthright of the elder son on the side of heaven. Similarly, among nations, From a worldly standpoint, the leading powers have the right of the elder son. But from the standpoint of God's will, Israel is the elder son. These two elder sons would confront each other on the national level as Israel confronted the Roman Empire. Even to this day, the mission of the chosen people is to restore the birthright from Esau, beginning on the individual family level, all the way to the world level. And this is on a speech on December 24, 1978. When their father gave blessing to Jacob, the birthright was restored. However, because of this, Esau was extremely angry and wanted to kill Jacob, just as Cain had killed Abel. And this is from a speech in April 1, 1972. And tomorrow we'll read the second sub-topic, Jacob's labors under his uncle Laban. And that ends our Hoon Dok Hae. Is there anyone who wants to share about the reading today about Jacob and Jacob's rivalry with Esau and the teachings of our father about Isaac? Okay, is anyone there who wants to share about our reading? As we share, more blessings will come, and we can digest at least 100% if we share. So, anybody else wants to share about any reflections, inspirations, wise or otherwise? Are you still all there? Anyone?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the reading.
You're welcome.
Very powerful classic story from the Bible. I think the concern is that somehow everyone gain blessing, and there be an equitable resolution for every person in growing through the three blessings to fulfill. There'd be a restoration of these relationships. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Diane. Anybody else who wants to share about a reading today about Isaac? And Jacob. So, as we have read today about Isaac too, we should feel his heart too. When he was going out with his father Abraham to Mount Moriah, when he was old enough to carry the wood for his sacrifice, and he saw that there was no lamb to sacrifice. So he inquired to his father about it. And I think Isaac, apparently old enough to understand, Isaac was old enough also understand his father's intention, that there's no other sacrifice, it would be him. And he willingly accepted that whatever it is, he will help his father. So together, their faith made the offering successful. And there's no way for Satan to retain his hold on them. And in making the offering, Abraham and Isaac went through a process of death and resurrection. As a result, as we read today, Abraham succeeded in the separation of Satan, who had invaded him because of his mistake in the symbolic offering. You remember he was offering the bird's ram, the heifer, and he forgot to cut into the two birds. So second, by faithfully obeying God's will, Isaac inherited the divine mission. So this was from the book Exposition of the Divine Principle, Foundation 3.1.2.3. And Father even made a point about, Abraham and Isaac. We should give ourselves as offerings to Thee, Father, yet we are unable to. Therefore, even if Thou hast to drive us, even Thou hast to drag us, please lead us to Thine altar. So Abraham brought his innocent son on the way to Mount Moriah. And when Isaac asked his father, "Where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" I think his father answered that he need not worry about it. Every time I try to fathom Abraham's heart, every time I try to fathom that parent's heart, I feel how sorrowful thine heart must be, as thou leadest us. So Father was really, embracing the heart of Abraham, the parental heart. Anyone who wants to share about Jacob? And as for Jacob, he got the birthright from Esau when Esau came out from the field, famished. And of course, he made a condition with Esau that you first sell me your birthright. And Esau right away said, "I am about to die. Of what use is my birthright to me?" So he asked Esau, "Swear to me first." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he ate and drank, and rose and went away. So he sold his birthright, and then with the cooperation of Rebekah, he got the blessing from his father Isaac, which is very old, old already, that he doesn't know which son, but he mentions here that the voice sounded like Jacob, but of course the hair and the garments and of Esau was being used by Jacob. So
anyway,
yes, run over.
What is really clear is something that was said early in the reading, and that was the Jacob relationship. That something struck me with, according to the principles of creation, the elder son was supposed to inherit.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Reverend Oliver. So I think later on we'll be reading about Jacob, about his, you know, defeating the angel, wrestling with the angel. As we read in the introduction, it says here from Father Moon's view of God's providence as a course of restoration, to turn right side up all the things that was turned upside down by the human fall. So Jacob restored much by defeating the angel. He restored for the first time, Adam's defeat by the angel Lucifer. So in the Garden of Eden, Adam, was defeated by the angel Lucifer. So this time he was victorious to an angel that he, met in the ford of Jabal. And by winning over his brothers Esau, he restored for the first time the failure of Cain and Abel. Because Cain was very angry with Abel. In the later part of our reading, maybe we will see how he, won over Esau or Cain by giving him gifts and his riches. And I think he gave, not half but all of his riches to Esau. And this melted the heart of Esau. Therefore, melting Cain also. And he restored that relationship. Yes, is there anybody else who wants to share about our reading today? So if there's none, let's all rise and have unison prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents, we're so grateful for this reading today, for letting us feel the heart of parents, Abraham's heart, about maybe walking to Mount Moriah, that he would lose his son, because God commanded him to offer his son as a sacrifice. And we pray also the heart of Isaac, a faithful son, who willingly offered his life for the sake not only for his father, but for generations to come. So therefore they have overcome death, and they resurrected, literally. And we pray that we can always be the faithful ones that our true parent is looking for, that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of our clan, society, nation, and in this world. We pray that whatever that is dear to us, we can offer it to our true parents. And we pray that we can be your instruments, our heavenly parents. We pray that we can share this story in detail to our children, and for all the brothers and sisters who are being prepared for us to really just pluck them out from the secular world and bring them to heaven's side. We pray that we can restore many people, more than 6 billion people, or even 7 billion people, back to God's presence. Of all the countries in the world, 217, there's only 34 peaceful countries in the world, and we pray that more and more countries would come to heaven's side as we strive harder to bring about a better world of peace and harmony. And we pray for each other's success. We pray for the families that we got from the lottery, that we can bring them to you, our Heavenly Parents, and even the hometowns that we also got by lottery for Korea, that we can really be the ones to share in this victory in uniting North and South Korea also, before or on the year 2020. And we pray all of this in all our names and in my name. Athanasius Francis de Catalan, blessed and the family. Aju, Aju, Aju. 우리의 소원은 통일, 누메로 소원은 통일, 이 목숨 바쳐 소통일, 통일이요 오라, 이 교회 살리는 통일, 이 나라 찾는데 통일, 통일이요 소라, 통일이요 오라. Good morning to you, our victorious and beloved true parents of heaven and earth and humankind. Good morning to the true children, true grandchildren, and all our brothers and sisters. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Reverend Oliver, Diane, and everybody. Have a nice and wonderful Thursday.
And you also.
Yes. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Have a great day. Manse, manse.